Hey there, today we're going to run through how to add a new contact to MLS and then also how to set them up on a search and a subscription. So I'm going to give you kind of an overview of how to do this. I really think the best thing to do once you are in MLS is to play around, set up searches, send yourself search results so that you can see what this looks like from both ends and have a lot of practice setting this up. So we're going to practice setting up a new contact. So I would add somebody in as a contact to MLS when I meet with a buyer and they are interested in buying a home and they want to get listings sent to them from the MLS. This is not necessarily your CRM. You would keep all of your contacts with their full contact data in command. This is really just to get them set up to get those listings sent to them. You can send things from command. You can send you can send listings that way, but this is going to be the quickest and the most robust search system. So this is great for those buyers who are searching. You also may want to use this to set up searches for maybe a seller who is thinking about selling in the next few months and wants to get a kind of a pulse on what's happening in the market. Of course, you're going to use MLS in the day-to-day to look for homes, to look for information on homes. You're going to run a CMA in here, pulling that market data to make sure that you've got accurate pricing information for properties. So first things first, let's set up a new contact. So I have some of my my tabs for MLS starred, but if I'm looking for contact management and it's not up here at the top, I can go to menu and I can either search the menu and type in contact management, and you can see I added a star here because that's something that I use a lot. Otherwise, I can scroll down and find it's under contacts, contact management. There's a couple different ways I can add a new contact to MLS, and this is one of the ways. So I can do a quick add. If I just have first name, last name, email, I can add someone right from here. I think that just to show you for illustrative purposes, the more in-depth way is to hit that add a contact button in the upper right-hand corner, that blue button. And then I can put in the contact's name. So I'm going to put in my own info. And I can break this down by first and last name. But let's say maybe my husband is searching with me and he also wants to get information. He also wants to be a contact. I can add more than one person. I can put in my contact info here. And then if my husband also wants to get a copy of those search results, I can hit add an email and type in more emails. I can add more emails than this even. I can continue to add emails if there's multiple people who want to get a copy of things. I just have to make sure I hit this notify button and check that to make sure that he is going to get that message. So then I don't have to put in any of the other contact info because like I said, this is not your database. This is not where you're storing everything. The basic name and where listings are getting sent to is going to be what we're going to do. So I can hit add contact. And then you can see I'm already a contact in my email has already been confirmed here. If I have not been confirmed, there'll be an action, like where it says opt-in request here. There'll be a little action button that says confirm email. And you hit that button and then it'll show up this way where it says pending and opt-in request sent. So just know this one's kind of showing you the different statuses. They will not get auto emails unless they are confirmed. So they have to go through and click that button to make sure that they are set up. From here, my contact is here. I have a couple different ways to set up a search as well. So I can go over here to where it says contact details. Activity is going to be what I can see for listings that someone is looking at. Searches and subscriptions is going to be where I go next. So I can go here, searches and subscriptions. I can say add a search. And it'll be, if I already made a search and saved it, I can choose one and attach it. Otherwise, I can say create new quick search. And this is going to take me to the search. So I can go here and I can run through how to set up a search. So I would want a general idea of what kind of home someone is looking for as I'm setting up this search. So let's say in this instance, I can do single family. There's also multifamily, condo, two family, commercial, vacant land. There's a lot of different search options in here. What I really recommend, like let's say someone says, I'm looking for a single family home, but I'd be open to a condo. I'll usually set up two separate searches because there's different There's different search criteria for each. Maybe if it's a condo, they want something with a private entry, and that's not going to be a search option for a single family search. So I like to stick with one type of property for each search just to keep things nice and simple. I'm going to choose the status of the property. Active would mean that it's on the market. It is, it can be shown. Delayed is like coming soon. And if I want to, usually if I'm setting up a search for a buyer, I do want to include delayed listings. So I'm going to hit control and click delayed. And now I have active and delayed. So this would be either one. They'll show up. Pending would mean that they have an accepted offer. Sold is that they're already closed. That would be good if you're running a CMA. You would add sold to your search. If I wanted to see expired or withdrawn, I could search there too. Some of those are better for CMA. So really, if I'm searching with an active buyer, I'd be looking at active or delayed. Now, I've got right now 14,000 results you can see at the top. I want to narrow these down. I don't really want to send my client properties that have accepted offers already. So I'm going to click this box that says contingent. And right now it says contingent of select. So contingent of with offer, if I click on that with offer. But this means that it's only going to show me properties that have an accepted offer. And so if I click and I toggle of, it will switch between of and not of. So I want something that is contingent, not of with offer, meaning only things that don't have an accepted offer. And then from here, I can map. So where are we looking for a home? We can search by county, by municipality. We can search by zip code. So those are all going to be options. If you have a client who's looking just in one city, more often than not, when I'm searching with clients, they are often looking at like a map search. So they want to look at this map and say, I want to be in this area here. So on the right-hand side of my map, I've got some little shapes. So I've got a square, a circle, and then a four-sided object, a polygon, that's the word. A four-sided shape there, polygon for drawing things out. So I can either, if I click the square button, let's say I have someone who's looking here in Pewaukee, Brookfield, New Berlin, they want this general area. I can search there. I can also use a circle. And let's say they want to be, you know, within this area here, I can do that. And then there's also the polygon. I can get really fun and funky with shapes. So let's say this buyer is fine with like brown deer and they want to be down to the lake. I can draw a fun, funky shape. And then that will include the search there. A caution here, if you do add a county, municipality, zip code, and you do drawings, it's going to be like the Venn diagram intersection of both of those things that'll show up in your search. So if I have this shape drawn and then they say like, actually, but I only want Wauwatosa, it's going to only show me properties that are in Wauwatosa and within the shapes that I've drawn. So just keep that in mind. If you're not seeing things show up, just check, do you have shapes and a city? You know, what are they looking for? But you can go through and list like, okay, they want to be in this shape, but they're also fine with brown deer and they're fine with Greenfield. They just don't want to live in New Berlin. Okay, that works, whatever the case may be. So that's an option. And if they say, actually, you know, let's uncheck that, if you uncheck it, it will disappear. You can search by zip code as well. So if somebody specifically wants to be in 53207 is a very common one. People who want to be in the Bayview area or Bayview adjacent, sometimes they'll say just that's where they're looking. That sounds good. We can do that. Another search option over here on the right is there's a little pin that says locate address. So let's say I want to be within a certain distance of the office. I can type in the office address and I can say that I want to be within 1 mile of the office. So I have a radius there. That can be really great if you're pulling comps for a property. Let's say the property, you have the address, it was never listed in MLS. You can find it with the pin drop and you can expand out from there. For searching for a buyer, most of the time they're going to have an idea of what price range they're looking in. One caution that I usually like to say is like sometimes people will just say my max budget is $350 or whatever it may be. But it's never a bad idea to include a minimum price as well. There are some test listings that show up in the MLS where they will have things that are listed for $1. But also if a buyer says they want something move-in ready, I'm not necessarily going to put in a house that's listed for $50,000 and is a teardown. So usually if people have been searching around online, they'll have a base minimum. If someone's budget, let's say, is up to $350,000, maybe I would say, you know, the minimum realistically that they'd be looking for is $200,000. But they'll let them tell you. So something between 200 and 350 Maybe they'll have, if you're searching for sold, you can put in a sold price range. But then you can also put in number of bedrooms. So let's say that they want at least 3 bedrooms and they want 1.5 baths or more. They're fine with 2, but they just want 2 toilets. That's pretty common. You can also add garage spaces in here. And there are a lot of other details that you can choose to add. If they're looking at a certain subdivision or a certain school district, you can add that too. The caution I always have with MLS is if you are searching an MLS, you have to remember that a human has entered this data. So some agents are more or less complete. Maybe someone mischecking a box. So I would just say we're going to look for like the lowest common denominator of what they're looking for. So this person's looking for a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath in these shapes, in this price range, just to give them an idea. If you see something that your client says, hey, I have some must-haves that these are deal breakers if they're not included, you can scroll down to where it says add a field and you can type it in. Anything that would be included in the MLS would be here as an option. So you can have things like what's the architecture of the property, what's the basement like, if they want it to, they want to make sure that it has a basement. If they want to make sure there's a tub in the property, if they want to make sure that it's not an alley entrance or it is an alley entrance. So you can get really specific with your searches. But like I said, the thing to know is sometimes the agents may miss checking a box, and I don't want something to not show up in your search just because an agent missed checking the box. A really common must-have for buyers is central air. So I can type in central and it'll show up. I can check that box, and now it's only going to show me properties that have all of those other criteria and central air. So that's another one where sometimes then people say to me, but you know what, if I could add central air, that'd be okay too. Fenced yard is another one the same way. A lot of people say I have pets, I prefer a fenced yard. I could add that in. If it's not fully fenced, did the agent check the box to say fenced yard? Or if they can add a fence, they might not have checked that box. So that's my caution, is just be really thoughtful about like, what is the lowest common denominator that's going to pull up things. Sometimes people will add in a whole bunch of must-have criteria and then they'll end up with no results. But you can see we went from 14,000 something homes down to 114. Maybe they decided, you know what, we're going to get rid of a couple of these shapes because we don't actually need all of this. We just really want to be within let's say within that square so that we've got less in here. So they just really want to be in this square. Great. They've got 2 search results that come up. So I can see this where it says view results here. Otherwise, I can also go next to where it says edit search and hit list. Either one will get me to my search results. So I've got an active and a delayed showing that comes up. So active shows up here in green, delayed, it says no showings. So that means that that's a coming soon listing. We can schedule a showing, but we can't go in today because it's not active yet. If I want to see the details on these homes, I can scroll next to where it says list and hit detail. And all of the data on the homes is going to come up. From here, I can see things like the photos as well. I can see where it is on the map. I can click through and see the history of the home. So I can see that they last tried to list it earlier this month or last month. They didn't sell it. They expired it and relisted it. So looks like they did a price change and maybe they made some updates to the home. But I can also see when it was last sold. If I click the plus button next to that, I can see all the changes that were made to the property and the time that it's been listed. I can scroll over here to tax info and it'll pull up the information for the tax report for the house. So I can see the owner, I can see the tax assessed value, I can see how big the lot is. So this is about a half an acre. I can see the full taxes, and I can see everything from the city tax assessor's data. So that's here in this assessor section. I can see the sales record as well here. So I can see anytime the property was transferred. I can also see, if I scroll to documents, I can see it looks like they have a condition report, a lead-based paint disclosure. They have an appraisal on file as well, and they have some info about previous basement work that was done. At the very least, you'll usually see the condition report. If the house was built before 1978, you'll see a lead-based paint disclosure as well. Other documents are extra bonus, which is awesome. Other things in here that are helpful. Let's see. So I told you can see photos, so we can scroll through there to see what the house looks like. So there's a lot of playing around in here that you can do. This other home that's in delayed status, if I go to the report, it will show me at the top of it'll say start showing date at the top of the report. So this one is starting showings on September 3rd. So that after Labor Day, they are going to start showing. So I can schedule a showing now for September 3rd. I just can't show the home yet. Same thing. They may not have all the photos in yet. They may not have all the documents in yet. These guys do. But sometimes there'll still be information that's getting added when a home is in delayed. So let's say this hits everything my client's looking for, their price range, their size. This is a good search for them. I can go up here to the top and it says work on behalf of ... and then share, email, and save. I can save the search. So maybe I want to make sure that this is, let's see, they're looking in Waukesha County, search. And because I'm working from within my contact card, it's already tied to that contact. So the choices here are contact. I don't have to attach to a contact. I could create a new contact from here, or it's already tied to this contact. So I can from here hit save, or I can hit save and add subscription. I'll show you what it looks like if we just hit save. Then MLS is going to ask me, do I want to email these listings now or some of them? I always think that's a great idea. Send those first results out, and then the buyer, if you set them up on a subscription, is going to continue to get search results after that. So I'll hit email these listings now. It's going to open up a new window. It's going to guide me through. It's going to ask me to write an email right here from MLS, and I'll say initial search results, and I'll say, great to meet you today. Our initial search results are attached. And then I can hit email and it will send to them. A couple of other options. I can also ask it to use my email application if I've connected it, or I can say, just give me the link. So if I want a link to these two properties, maybe they said, can you text it to me? I can say, just give me the link, get link, and I can copy that and I can send that to them. But let's return to contact management. And then we'll see under searches and subscriptions, the search is here set up. That's great. I can edit it from here. I can rename it. I can remove it. I can add more searches. And then over on the side here, I can see the results. I can see all the new results, all the new since a certain date and time, which is usually when I set it up. And then I can reset that time too. So if I want to check on it, what's new since I've last looked, I could do that too. Search parameters are laid out here if you want to just have that quick overview. And especially if you have multiple searches for a buyer, you can see like which search was this. Subscription is going to be the thing that allows the MLS to send those emails out every single time something new hits the market. So I'm going to hit add a subscription because this buyer wants to be alerted when something new comes on the market. That's going to open up a new tab for me. I can rename the subscription if I'd like to. I can choose who's getting notifications. Me, the sender, so the agent, I can get a notification, the selected contacts. And I can choose if I would like the system to send me, the agent, an email when the contact clicks a link, just so I can make sure that they're actually seeing them. I could, again, add a new contact from here if I wanted to. And then I can choose a schedule. So weekly is going to, like whatever days of the week I have chosen, it will send just once a day. If that's an option, that's usually not for somebody who's actively looking, but maybe for somebody who says, you know what, I would like to see what's out there, but I'm not ready to actually start looking. Maybe I just want them to get a daily email. Monthly, you choose which day of the month you want them to send it. The market's moving pretty quickly right now in 2025. And so I would not recommend this option unless someone is just kind of trying to keep an eye on the market and doesn't want to actually get emails. ASAP is what I usually use when I'm sending out properties to an active client. So this is going to send them new properties when things hit the market. They may get several emails a day if they have a pretty broad search, but this is going to be the most up-to-date info. They're on top of the market with ASAP. Continuous is going to send out 4 emails a day at intervals. So if you have somebody with a really broad search who's getting like bombarded with emails every day, maybe they want continuous. My caution then is after the last time it sends out, you're not going to get another email for a few hours. So if you guys are out looking at homes and the perfect house has come up, they may not see it right away. They'll see it a couple hours later. So ASAP is typically what I use for those active and ready to go people. You can choose a view to send. I usually will just attach the view to whatever the type of the house is. So this is a single family. And again, I'm going to set up an email template. So new listings matching your search are attached. Let me know if you want to see anything, have any questions, or have any adjustments made to your search. It's going to be the exact same email every single time. So make this pretty generic. And then you would hit save. And then you'll be able to see that it shows up under my subscriptions. So here's my search and here's my subscription. Let's say that the buyer finds a home, we're ready to, they're under contract, they don't really want to get these emails anymore. I can always turn off this subscription by just hitting the little garbage can next to it. So it says remove subscription. I can hit that. It'll ask me to confirm. Okay. Now they're not going to get those auto emails anymore. I can also remove a search from a contact. Another way that you can set up a search is you can just start right in quick search. So I have mine set up here on the top of MLS, but I can also go to menu and I can type in quick search. Mine is starred, so it shows up. And let's say I have a buyer who is looking for a condominium. They're looking for something that's active or delayed. Remember, we want to exclude the things that have accepted offers, not of with offer. And let's say this buyer is looking for a condo, a cool downtown area condo. So they're looking in like Third Ward, Walker's Point area is where they want to be. Maybe a little bit of Bayview there. And let's say they're looking for that condo in a price range of $350 to $750. Pretty flexible, but they want to make sure that it's got at least 2 bedrooms. And that should be good. So those are the things that they want. Let me show you what it looks like if we include the things that have an accepted offer. So if I uncheck this box for contingent, I've got 9 that show up. And then if I look in the search here, the properties that have the yellow box with the red C, those are contingent. So those have an accepted offer. Usually I'm not scheduling a showing for those. I can keep an eye on it. So if something falls through, I can reach out to the agent and check in to see the listing agent to see, how is everything going with it? My client's really interested in it. But typically we're not going to be scheduling showings for those because I don't want to waste my client's time on a home that they can't necessarily buy. So I would recommend excluding those. So we've got six that don't have accepted offers. Condos are set up pretty much the same. You just there's some other info in here for condos where it's like you can see what's the condo name, the condo, what's the condo fee monthly, are pets permitted, is that important to your client? So all of that information. Also noteworthy for you guys, so remarks are going to be the public remarks here at the bottom. Private remarks, this is going to be something that only agents can see. So your client is not going to be able to see the private remarks. That's for you to take a look at before you set up a showing for your client. So I always take a glance at the condition report and always take a glance at private remarks just to see if there's anything noteworthy. Showing information is here in MLS as well. So like, for example, this one said they want 12 hours notice, inclusions and exclusions. And then who's the contact for the listing agent is there too. So let's say this hits what my client is looking for. I can hit save search. And let's see, I haven't attached this to a client yet. So it's a new search. So I'm going to call it Shipley Condo Search. And I can either say, like, I don't have to attach it to somebody here, but let's say I do want to attach it. I can type in the client's name and I can say save. I can, again, choose to email the listings now or not. And then if I go back to that contact, there's so many of them. I think I did this one. Oh, that was a different one. So many practice searches. Then I've got the condo search here too. So it can show up either directly from quick search or I can set it up from their contact card. So a couple of different ways to do it. And again, I can add a subscription as well. So those are some options that will help get me set up with setting up a search for a client, adding them to contact management, and setting up a subscription so they get those emails when something new hits the market. My suggestion to you is to play around in here. Set up yourself on some searches. Make sure that you are sending yourself that opt-in email so you see what it looks like. And then you set up that search and set yourself, some things on subscription so you can see how often are you getting them, what does it look like when you get them. So when you're working with a client, you can really tell them this is how it looks, this is what you're going to expect. I want you to feel confident in setting up searches in MLS so that when the time comes, you are going to be crushing it with your clients. Talk to you soon.